Randy Corrigan, a brand new show about labor and worker issues. The host of the show is Randy Corrigan, Secretary-Treasurer and Principal Office and leader of Teamsters 1932, one of the largest public sector labor unions on the West Coast, representing workers in government and non-sworn law enforcement personnel. Randy Corrigan is a 30-year Teamster who first became involved in the labor movement by volunteering his time as an organizer with the Teamsters Union at the age of 21. Since then, he's helped thousands organize, mobilize, and achieve bargaining rights. He accomplished this by spending countless hours with brave men and women all over Southern California, in their living rooms, on the picket line, to bring workers towards victory. This is the Worker Power Hour. And now here's the host of the show, Randy Corrigan.
Good afternoon, everybody. Longtime organizer, first-time radio host. Boy, we got a packed agenda today. I'm actually going to have to shorten the news down just a little bit for us to be able to get in all the exciting stuff that we have going on here. We obviously have our Teamster Advantage partner that we always have. In addition, I'm very excited to introduce what will soon be our newest Teamsters at Coachella Valley Water District in Coachella. I have a couple of them that will be on the show today talking about this exciting moment that will be happening in their vote next Wednesday. Going to look forward to the backside of the hour, us talking through it. But as I always start off our show, I always like to recap the previous week. Last week, highlight from the previous week, really having the nurses on from Rady's Children's Hospital. Having the nurses on that care for our most vulnerable in society. Obviously, when children run into major health issues, going to a children's hospital and dealing with nurses that specialize in that area, knowing that they are Teamsters, knowing that they're highly trained, knowing that they're these amazing individuals like Katie and Lisa were on last week's show. They did a phenomenal job on the show. They'll actually be back on the show in a couple weeks. Just as a reminder, they're in a contract fight right now with Rady's Children's Hospital down there in San Diego, and as well as they've got a location in the southern part of Riverside County that extends up into Riverside County as well, not just San Diego County. They're Teamsters out of 1699. We're looking to help them in any way, shape, or form that we can. And Katie and Lisa did a great job of telling the stories, explaining how important their job is, explaining how much they love their job, and really, again, showing a great face of what a Teamster is. Teamster's not just some crazy mob thug that the movies portray us to be, because those are the movies. Teamsters are those that make sure this community operates every single day, and having specialized nurses that handle children at a hospital, just extremely proud of what those Teamsters do down there. So big shout out to all of the members of Teamsters Local 1699 down there in San Diego. I know they had bargaining the day after our show. That started off typically like your first day of bargaining, and whatever they need from the entire Teamster network and Teamster family, we're going to be here for them. The next part of our show, we'll move into some shout outs of those that are listening in live. We have right now starting bargaining in the city of Fontana. They're actually listening in live while they're meeting with their business agent, Carlos Gonzalez. The city of Fontana Public Works and their general unit. Shout out to them listening live as this show goes on. Jessica Hobbs from Barstow. She works at WIC up there. Big shout out to Jessica. Thanks for listening in live. Lorraine Dubose, Jonathan Alonzo, John Brand. They all work for the IT Sheriff's Department in San Bernardino County. They really work hard to get the department back up and running under any ransomware attack. There was a recent big one here recently, so big shout out to them. They've done a great job making things happen. We also have Rochelle Silva with the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department in Needles that's listening in live. Big shout out to her. She was very instrumental in helping our staff member that manages Needles. She recently lost her father-in-law. Big Al is a great guy, an amazing individual that I know, or that I knew, and he's going to be dearly missed. That loss is going to be a big hit to the city of Needles. And the great thing is the entire community has come out in support of our staff member, Elisa Hernandez. Her father-in-law Big Al. Also, we have Nadal Rafidi, ARMC, listening in live, and a number of people at ARMC, as well as, I think I announced this a couple weeks ago, where we have a lot of our members that work for they're preschool teachers for San Bernardino County, and they're all PSD. They're all listening in. I think it's like 7 or 8 locations listening in live. So great shout out to all of you listening in live. Appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan. This is KCAA 1050 AM, 106.5 FM. All right, Teamster jobs. I know this is one of the favorite parts of a lot of listeners' day when they hear this show, and that is the unique natures of all the jobs in which Teamsters do. And the more you listen to the show, the more you realize we actually do represent everything from airline pilots to zookeepers. Every job on the face of the planet, we actually can find it somewhere in a contract we represent. So we are about as diverse as you can get when it comes to representing the workforce. And those jobs are, if you ever in LAX and you get a rental car, most of the rental car services there are all Teamster members. Some of them are from Local 63 as well as from Local 495. But if you ever fly into or out of LAX and you're going to get a rental car, it is very likely a Teamster is picking you up in that shuttle bus. It's very likely a Teamster is helping you at that counter when you are getting your rental car. And quite frankly, when you travel to a lot of cities, actually, you will find that there are Teamsters in most cities in those airports. The next is parking attendants. Teamsters Local 911 represents parking attendants at the Palm Springs Airport, the Burbank Airport, parking attendants at Kaiser, and a number of these large structures that you see in some of the metropolitan areas where they need to have a lot of parking attendants managing the parking situations. Those parking attendants a lot of times are Teamsters, and most of them in Southern California are with Teamsters Local 911. That's our sister local that represents a lot of public sector in Southern California. They do a great job. Here's another one that'll probably catch you a little by surprise. Kellogg brand cereal products are produced and delivered by Teamsters Local 853 out of Oakland. Those members are, I guess my script here says, are great, as Tony the Tiger would say. I probably blew that one. You know, I'm a longtime organizer, first time radio show host, so I get to get away with actually not pulling these things off every now and then. So Carlos, I appreciate you putting that in there and trying to make me sound like Tony the Tiger. I don't think that's going to happen, but hey, point is, when next time you reach and you grab that box of Kellogg's for your kids or for yourself, quite frankly, just remember Teamsters very likely produced it, delivered it, and made sure it got to the store. And so with that, I'm going to shift quickly into some news. The only news I want to cover today, it was in Bloomberg, was that the results have come in from the last year, and it shows that all union workers have benefited more than non-union workers have. The Bloomberg article really pointed out the fact that those that are under collective bargaining agreements were able to get better raises, do better with their employers than non-union workers were able to. I think James Estrada is texting me here. He wants a shout out for the city of Redlands. I hope you're listening live. No, you better be listening live, James. Anyway, sorry, but it's the raises that have been handed out, by corporations and businesses and employers over the last few years. It shows that union workers have received double what non-union workers have received. And one of the things that really needs to be pointed out in this news is it's not just the wages that are important, it's how much your health care costs, how much your retirement vehicle costs, and making sure that if you give someone a raise, it's not being taken out of the back pocket by increasing someone's health care expenses, or their cost of premiums are going up, or they're having to pay more for their retirement vehicles. Clearly, a Teamster model, I can't say every Teamster is in this model, but a lot of them are, and we always strive for these two things. One, healthcare being 100% paid for by the employer, and two, your retirement vehicle as well. And at the end of the day, if you're going to give 30, 35 years to an employer, there should be a shiny, not just a shiny watch at the end of the road. There should also be good health care to make sure that I can enjoy those days of retirement without it crippling me. With that, that's the only news I want to point to, because I actually want to spend the back half of the hour, a little more than a half hour, with this group that we've been working with for the last 6 or 7 months out of Coachella Valley. But in between that group of very important workers that work for a water district, and as I'll remind you, that those people that work either for a city or a water district save more lives than firefighters and police officers. This is not to take a shot at any other profession. It is to make you realize it's not magic when you turn on your faucet and clean water comes out. Like, there is an entire system that makes sure that clean water gets to your home, and then when you flush a toilet, it goes bye-bye. So at the end of the day, it's important for us to recognize that infrastructure and recognize how important that work is, because you've heard me say this on the show many times. In the 1860s, millions of people in the Northeast died because of cholera alone in the water. And think of all the things over the course of time and history that water was the cause of death because of a spread of virus, bacteria, disease, and all the different things that have happened. And so we really, really, really appreciate the work that they do. And we're going to be talking to them directly on the back half of the hour in a little bit more detail. But in between, that's my favorite part of the show, which is our Teamster Advantage partner. And for those of you that don't know, our Teamster Advantage Network is comprised of more than 1,000 small businesses across the Inland Empire and Orange and LA counties, and a little bit in San Diego. It's expanding day by day. Those small businesses are part of what we call the Teamster Advantage Network, and they offer up discounts to our members, and we allow them access to that membership. We advertise for them for free. We send out push notifications, and we bring people on like our radio show, and we invite them to all of our functions, and we don't charge them a bit. We believe that small businesses are in the same class as working class, and we are all, just working really hard to get by day, and it's important for us to kind of synergize our resources and work together as best as we can. And with that, I have Audrey here. She is in real estate, and she's been in real estate for more than 20 years, and she has been a partner, I think, for 3 or 4, right, Mark? I forgot your name just briefly. My bad.
Yeah, about 3 years.
Yeah. So with that, Audrey, tell us about your real estate business.
Okay. Well, again, my name's Audrey Acevedo, and I want to thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. I've been in the industry for a little over 20 years. So being an entrepreneur is not easy. It takes a lot of heart, takes a lot of courage. I have a special spot in my heart for those of us that jump in, and having the relationships. Like, I love being a part of Teamsters. One, it gives me an opportunity to give back and kind of connect with people, and in my business, we have ups and downs, and just like in life, there's a lot of ups and downs. So any way that I can be of service and help, I'm here for it.
Yeah, your industry has been crazy up and down the last 15 years.
It's been fun. What do you mean crazy?
That's been like a crazy roller coaster. You get into the early 2000s, mid 2000s, you had that acceleration, then you had the crash, and then you had the reacceleration coming out of that. And it was a slow build in 11, 12, 13, 14, and then it picked up again, and then obviously with the COVID situation, there's been nothing consistent about your industry the last 20 years.
No, there hasn't, and like I said, I've been in the game for a while, and having the ups and downs, it's a challenge, but we learn to adapt just like anything in life,
Right.
And sometimes, there's a lot of stuff going on. I'm sure you've heard, like, the NAR lawsuit and what's going to happen. What does this look like for buyers? And for the newer agents, I try to be a helping hand. I say, so what, now what? How do we adjust? I try to do, I don't want to talk for everybody, but I try to, just be very ethical. I'm very transparent, and unfortunately, not everyone in the world is like that. I've had discussions before, like we're talking about realtors or like hairdressers. We're everywhere. But there's about 1% of realtors that are really in production and do the business. So I pride myself on showing up, suiting up, showing up, being there for people, and being very honest. So that's kind of how I've survived, I guess, through the ups and downs.
I've always wondered, what's like your biggest sale that you did? You don't have to tell us how much you made, but how much was the property?
Really?
Yes, I'm curious.
Boy, why are you putting me on blast?
I'm not. It's like
right about $1 million.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
All right. It's crazy when, obviously for those of us who have been around long enough, I remember I bought my first house at like $67,000, right?
Right.
And so, as time goes on, obviously things shift and things change, and I'm not going to get into a market analysis right now. But, well, good for you. I'm glad that you were able to pull the trigger on something like that.
Yes. I mean, it's almost mind-blowing for myself since I remember selling homes. I mean, I bought my first home, and I want to say I paid like $130,000 for it, something like that. But it's what you're seeing, the sales price now. It's just people see that, and it's like, okay, to buy, let's just say like Beaumont, for instance.
Correct.
At one point when I was selling back in Beaumont, I never thought I would see a home in the 8s or the 9s in Beaumont. I just didn't, But everything grows. I mean, we're watching, everything kind of continue to rise. And another big question on everyone's mind is like, when's the crash going to happen? Do you foresee a crash happening? And it's like, our inventory is still so
because
so
the
low.
inventory is low, it's unlikely to have too big of a dip.
Right. And this is the first time in history where we've ever seen the interest rates rise as well as pricing at the same time.
Yep.
So for your first time buyer, just getting comfortable with the payment today with, a 7.5% interest rate as well as purchasing
Which
a home.
is still lower than my first house that I purchased.
Right? I know.
Right. In the early 90s, which was at, I think, 8.75%.
Yeah, that was I got 8.75 on my very first home that I bought. And
I thought that was a great deal at the time.
I was like, yeah. Like I thought it was.
But it's a matter of perspective. And,
That's
you
right.
had this swing where interest rates went to these really crazy lows, which probably, in my opinion, will never happen again.
Yeah.
It was just an anomaly. But, now you look at it and you go, oh, 5 or 6%, 7%. And you go, well, that's kind of where the norm was for... My grandfather tells me how much he paid, and obviously he's passed now, but that was in 55, and, he paid like, it was like 18%.
Right, right. Yeah, it's that uncomfortable. I mean, I know that I will never probably pay $2 for gas again.
Yeah.
I mean, we can all hope, but
yeah, that's right. We can all hope. We can all hope for it.
Yeah, so it's just getting comfortable with kind of things adapting and changing. Like I said,
So tell us about your partnership with Teamster Advantage.
Yes.
Obviously, we don't charge you for this, right? Correct?
No.
And where's your location at?
So I'm with Keller Williams here in Redlands. I grew up in Redlands, graduated from Redlands. So I work all areas. I do live in Beaumont, so I do a lot of business in Beaumont, even down the deserts, pretty much all over. So when the opportunity strikes, I'm pretty much there.
And what we like about the program is we really try to keep everything connected locally. We encourage people to shop locally. We encourage people to before you go to the big box store, before you go somewhere that the tax money is going to go out of the community, try to keep it in the community first.
Absolutely. And I'm big on that. So one of the things that I do is I go and I will feature some of the smaller businesses in town. Some of the restaurants I'll take my videographer. Sometimes we do a little interview and just, try to, like I said, spend local. So that's always fun, and they do appreciate it. So.
Well, good. Any funny story or anything you want to say before we wrap up this side of the hour and I go to break? And we want to thank you for coming on.
Okay. Well, a funny story. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to.
What's the craziest thing you found in a house? I don't know that you were selling.
Can I say that kind of stuff on the radio? I don't know.
He's got his finger on the button over there. Just
that's the mute. I will have to say, people not putting away some of their special fun stuff as a couple.
I gotcha.
Yeah. So as I'm walking through, it's like, hey,
this is a house that's got a lot of good aura.
Right. And if I were the listing agent, I would have definitely been like, nope. Hey.
Gotcha.
So you never know what you're gonna see, but again, you just adapt and
that's
get a
why I
couple
love this
giggles
show.
in. You get a couple giggles in, and keep moving on.
That's what I love about the show. You don't know what you're going to hear today. This is KCAA 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. It's the Worker Power Power Hour. So thank you for coming on. Just briefly, what is the discount that Teamster Advantage partners get?
Yes. So they will get a 1% discount if they decide to list their home with me. As well, if they're buying, they will get a $2,000 credit at the close of escrow from myself.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on, Audrey. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And big shout out to you, and a big shout out to you for doing the things that you do in the community, where you're keeping the connection of the local businesses, because that's the actual premise of our entire program is trying to build that connectivity and using the vastness of our organization to bring it all together. And so I'm going to roll over to commercial break early here, and we're here. This is the Worker Power Hour. We'll see you on the other side of the hour, on the other side of the break.
This is KCAA.
Welcome to the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan, a brand new show about labor and worker issues. The host of the show is Randy Corrigan, Secretary Treasurer and Principal Office and leader of Teamsters 1932, one of the largest public sector labor unions on the West Coast, representing workers in government and non-sworn law enforcement personnel. Randy Corrigan is a 30-year Teamster who first became involved in the labor movement by volunteering his time as an organizer with the Teamsters Union at the age of 21. Since then, he's helped thousands organize, mobilize, and achieve bargaining rights. He accomplished this by spending countless hours with brave men and women all over Southern California, in their living rooms, on the picket line, to bring workers towards victory. This is the Worker Power Hour. And now here's the host of the show, Randy Corrigan.
So we're back live. This is Randy Corrigan with the Worker Power Hour, longtime organizer, first-time radio host. So now I have these two amazing employees from the Coachella Valley Water District, and I'll give a little bit of history as to what they're going through here in a couple minutes. But first, can I have you introduce yourselves? I got Ducky and Buffy. Hopefully I don't mix it up because, I appreciate the names, and I just don't want to butcher them. So why don't we start with you, Buffy, and why don't you just introduce yourself, name, and the job you do.
So
Got to be closer to the mic.
Okay, so my name is Buffy Ayala, and I work with the Coachella Valley Water District. I'm a supervisory control and data acquisition operator. Basically, what I do is I work behind computers, looking at the system, which consists of our stormwater system, reclamation, domestic water, irrigation. It goes on and on and on. But that's what I do. I basically
That's really
am
important stuff.
Yeah, I'm the 911 operator for the water district.
That's a good way to put it. Ducky. Oh, hold on. Right here.
Okay.
No problem.
My name is Luis Batista. At work, they call me Ducky. I prefer either or. It doesn't bother me. So far, 18 years at the district, 16 years of installing main lines, services, replacing, and repair. Most of the time, 24-hour call, once for a week. Now I'm working with valve maintenance or system maintenance, whatever you wish. We'll go around the whole system from one end of the valley to the other, servicing the valves, rotating them up and down, making sure they're fully accessible, making sure they're working in case of emergencies or to isolate a leak or service or something.
Well, great. The reason why we have them on the show today is that next week they are going to be voting on two very important items regarding their place of employment. One item is a modification to the bylaws with their current association, and I'll explain that process in a second. And then the other is voting whether or not to merge their independent association with the Teamsters. This is not a hostile situation. We've been working in concert with the association, the employees association that represents the workers, for months and months, and working towards a common goal to try to combine resources in a way that makes it more effective for them to be represented with their employer. And why it's important to be on here is I really want listeners to understand a little bit of the process. And the way I'll first start off is by talking about they're currently in an association, and what that means is most people call associations unions, and they're not. They're actually associations. They operate differently. They have a different structure, and their structure and the way an association, an independent association operates, are under the same rules that, let's say, your homeowners association operates. And the way to manage them is very different than what we call bona fide unions under the Department of Labor are held accountable to, which is a completely different set of standards. And so our operating infrastructure and the way unions are managed are very different than associations are. Associations are managed under the Corporations Code and are very loosely regulated as a result of that. And they're usually smaller in nature. They don't have the ability to pool together a lot of resources simply because it's a small independent and it only represents, let's say, 200 or 150 people or 400 or 500 people. And therefore, it's hard to build up a lot of resources. Unions on a bigger scale that are bona fide unions with a operating infrastructure, typically range from about 3,000 to 4,000 up to 20,000. Ours is about 14 to 15,000. And so we're on the larger scale of them, but we clearly have a lot of operating infrastructure to be able to manage the representational duties and engage the community in the right way when it comes to enforcing collective bargaining agreements, making sure that you even have the right to collectively bargain in itself, because there's always laws attacking it. And we need to make sure that those things are always, up front. The smaller associations struggle because a lot of times those board members are volunteering their time. Most of the time they're volunteering their time, and they're just really doing the best they can with a limited system. And employers actually want their employees to be in associations versus unions for that very reason. And because a lot of times these association board members are really, they're doing the best they can on nights and weekends and really burning a lot of their free time to represent workers, and it's not their full-time job. It's their full-time job is actually with the employer. And so I've been able to actually merge and affiliate a lot of independent associations like this over my career, because what happens is workers realize they have more power, collective power, in a system like we have with the operating infrastructure, and then they're able to essentially have their issues represented. And it's not always just pay. Most of the time, it's working conditions. It's situations, contractual language, making sure that you hold on to it, or making sure that, as regulatory factors come down, that you are not on the losing side when that change comes in from the employer, and that you're represented in a way that mitigates whatever the employer wants to kind of just dump on you as a result of that regulatory factor that's changing your working conditions. And so having an operating infrastructure to manage all that is really, really important. And it doesn't just come down to making more money. And clearly you heard me say at the other part of the hour, having good healthcare benefits, making sure that, you're not paying, way too much for them. Our position has always been the employees should not pay for their health and welfare. Like I get it, some of them do, but our position is always an employer should pay 100% of health care, and it should be affordable to a degree that health care should be paid for. We don't need to get into all these details right now, but the reality is you can't start there if you don't have the operating infrastructure to kind of argue these things. And so what the Coachella Valley Water District employees are doing is they're going to be voting on those two issues next Wednesday. And I know you guys are going to want to talk a lot here in a minute. And what I want to do is just kind of dump all the information first. And then what we'll do, because I've had a bunch of people send me stuff, say, can you cover this issue? Can you cover that issue? And what I'm going to do is I'm just kind of get it all out of the way. And then we'll just kind of have a conversation. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
perfect.
All right, awesome. The first issue is a change in the bylaws. The reason why the bylaws have to be changed is it's an association's bylaws, and it's very undemocratic. And therefore, the bylaw change is a very simple change to make sure that the majority rule applies, not a super majority of all affected, because a super majority of all affected is a polarizing and a paralyzing provision that prevents you from actually ever making a change. And so even if a majority, let's say you have 400 people in a unit, and the way your bylaws are currently written under the association, if you had 400 people in the unit, but 200 people showed up to a meeting and 99 voted in favor of the change and one voted against it, it still wouldn't pass because a majority of the unit didn't. And your bylaws don't just say a majority. It actually says a 2/3 of it, which was a double problem, and it being like undermining democracy, the democratic process, twice. And so your board has obviously supported moving to change that. And so should be a yes vote on that to make sure that a simple majority decides the outcome of a merger. And then the next vote will be whether or not to vote in favor of merging with the Teamsters. And so what does that mean? That means that the board would absolve into the organization itself, into Teamsters Local 1932. Teamsters Local 1932 would take over all the representational responsibilities of all the employees with the employer. We take over the contract, and we would start enforcing it immediately. And what does that mean? That means that you have individuals that have some questions in a few areas. The first area is dues. Currently, right now, you guys pay a very low dues rate. And, you know, I always find this subject on dues interesting, because whenever we have a situation where let's say we're arguing for pay in our classification. We being a worker, we're going to look at everybody else at the highest pay and say, I want to be compared to the person at the highest pay. I always find it funny when it comes to dues, people say, no, I want to pay the lowest dues. Why would people do that? Why would they say, no, I want to pay the lowest amount of dues for those that are representing me through the actual issues that impact every part of my job? To me, it doesn't make a lot of sense. You don't just pay the higher, you actually make sure that you pay something that you are going to make sure that you have the resources, the proper resources to be able to engage the process. And so what are the dues in the Teamsters? In Teamsters Local 1932, you're hearing it from the guy who's in charge. They are 1.3% of base salary, which is the equivalent to 2.25 times your hourly rate of pay per month. So if I make $10 an hour, I'm just using this for easy math, 2.25 times the hourly rate of pay would be $22.50, correct?
Correct.
My math is correct. 2.25 times the hourly rate of pay. 1.3% of salary is the equivalent of it. And the reason why Teamsters 1932 has a percentage base versus an hourly rate base is because when we formed the local in 2015, everything else that we were bringing together in the formation of that local was based on a percentage basis, and we just adopted it even though it transferred over to the 2.25 times the hourly rate of pay. There are no initiation fees for anybody who is in the public sector. If you're private sector, that is different. It's a different calculation, but in the public sector, which the water agency is a public agency. It's a public entity. It is in the public sector. And no initiation fees are paid. Nothing more, nothing less. I've heard stories of 1.5% and 1.4%, and people have to pay this and that, and it's just not true. Not sure why people would purposely mislead, but those are the facts. The next thing that I was asked to point out was, issues around your certifications of in the water industry and how important those certifications are, and making sure that 1932 has the ability to handle bargaining on behalf of what it takes to get the certifications, making sure that the employer is holding up to their end of the responsibility, because this is an industry that has a lot of certifications and that has a lot of regulatory factors with good reason, because a lot of people have done wrong when it comes to polluting our water. With that, I hope that a couple of those issues, I'll come back to some things in a minute, like your current class and comp study that you got going on. I think I've talked long enough. It's KCAA 106.5 FM 1050 AM. It's a worker power hour. Buffy, do you want to go first?
Sure. Well, I'm excited that we're going forward with this vote with the Teamsters. I'm really excited about it. With the brotherhood, the sisterhood, I think that's what we need, and we just want what everyone else has. We value our jobs, we love our jobs, and we just want to be respected and compensated for that. So I can't even tell you how excited I am.
Well, we can see, because I get to see all the things like the stuff that you send over when you talk to some of the organizers and everybody. So I can tell you're really excited about this venture. And why is it? You're being part of the Teamster family. It's a little different, because I know some of you have actually called your fellow Teamster brothers and sisters in the city of Coachella, other cities, the county, and other areas. So you've actually been able to talk to other Teamsters.
Yes, we have, and I've talked to a couple of the folks down at City of Coachella, and just the whole overall feeling that I get from them, the way that it's more just of a family feel, a respect deal. It gives me goosebumps. It makes me so excited to go back to that. I really think, like with COVID changed a lot of things for a lot of people, and it separated a lot of people. And I would like to come back to that family feel and be a part of something greater. So I'm super excited. What we do is really important, that the services that we offer our community, and I would love to remain at my job and be happy at it and do all these great things for the community.
One of the things that we do in our local is we have billboards and we have buses, and we have an entire PR program about this radio show that you're on, talking about the jobs Teamsters do, so the community can respect it. Because at times what happens is people get whipped into this back and forth that then says, well, I don't need to pay for that, or why would I have that? And what we're doing is we're bringing an awareness to why it's important, and also making sure that elected leaders understand how important it is to take care of these jobs. Ducky, why don't you tell me why you're doing this? And how excited you are for next Wednesday?
Honestly, I'm hoping for the best, brother. I am excited because something different, something new. The old isn't working anymore. We need a bigger voice. We need unity. And we need to be able to get all together and be able to focus on the same situation with the same problems. Our family, cost of health insurance, retirement, and job security, brother. Because like you mentioned earlier, grades are very important. I don't care if you're working in the office. I don't care if you're working in the sanitation department. I don't care if you're working with the water. We all need certificates for what we do.
Correct.
And we
all should be respected for the role we play in it.
Absolutely.
Like sometimes the firefighter gets all the glory because he saved the kid, but someone needed to make sure the firefighter got there, including all of you that made sure that the firefighter got the water.
I'm not going to downplay anybody's job.
Right.
But
we love the fireman, but we also need to make sure the fireman knows that he wouldn't get the water if it wasn't for you guys.
When it comes to the water, out of sight, out of mind. You can't see it, so you don't know what's happening. Everything that we do is mostly underground. And
it's amazing how you guys capture water, you utilize water. You're in the middle of a desert. And you guys are performing jobs to extract water out of nowhere.
From the people in the office, like Buffy and her coworkers, to the people who are actually in the field, I mean, everybody does their job.
That's correct.
And what I appreciate the most is the fact that not only is it labor involved, but it's also office involved, where the people, I'm going to geek out right now, bro. The need of the many outweigh the need of the few or the one. So that's one of the reasons why Buffy and people like as I have tried to get involved to get with the Teamsters, because we want it to be more unity. I want people in the office, I want people in the field to be as one and remember what we used to be like. We used to be a family. We used to do things as a group. As of lately, because of the problems of the economy and because of situations where our present job is right now, people have just
There's been some challenges.
space.
Yep.
There's been a lot of space, and that's what I'm hoping to get back to, bro. I mean, I've tried to explain to people who've asked about the union. We had a lot of questions. It's not a genie in a lamp. You're not going to rub it, get 3 wishes, and poof, it's done. There's going to be work involved. We're going to have to unify together to get what we need for what we want for the people in the office and for the people in the field. I mean, everybody needs to get involved.
Your example of it's not a genie in a bottle is a great one. It is exactly how you describe that situation, because you first of all have to have the operating infrastructure, and you have to have the participation and the engagement. Right. And one of the things that'll happen after you guys vote to become Teamsters is one of the things that happens very quickly after that is we sit down, we itemize the issues, we bring it all together, and then we develop a plan immediately on how to tackle all those issues. And one of the biggest issues is always making sure that morale is at its best, making sure that people come together and that they have some solidarity, because that's how you define collective bargaining. This isn't individual bargaining as independent contractors. Obviously, that doesn't work out in these situations, right? Collective bargaining is when you come together, and sometimes you take a step back on your independent need because you need to make sure that the entire group continues to progress forward. Because at the end of the day, you want the others to support your independent need when it becomes a priority.
Over time, people have forgotten that, bro. They've forgotten. Look, I understand.
But what you're doing now is you're actually reminding them right now with the work you are doing. This isn't what the Teamsters are doing. I've been to a couple of your committee meetings, and I've met with some of you guys and ladies, and what you are doing is you are collectively bringing everybody back together yourselves. Correct. You're not depending on the Teamsters to do it. We're just showing you how to work together, and we're showing you, in a lot of ways, put down your differences with each other.
Easier said than
I
done.
know. I understand.
Misinformation. Look, to be honest with you, when me and Buffy and the others got involved into this committee, I did not think it would be this much uproar. But it trips me out. Misinformation, if anybody has questions, come and ask us. If anybody heard a rumor, come and ask us. Information is key. Misinformation is like a virus, brother.
That's correct.
You cannot control it, but it can spread quickly.
That's right. You said something earlier that you're doing this because you want a bigger voice, correct?
Yes, sir.
How much bigger voice is it to have your own radio show? Are you looking forward to having a billboard too? As a matter of fact, I'm sure you know that when we did the San Bernardino group, just became Teamsters a couple months ago,
we heard.
And you probably saw the picture, the billboard that we have in San Bernardino. Welcome to the Teamsters, right? We want to welcome all these new Teamsters for the city of San Bernardino, and clearly, I'm assuming, what's the best billboard there on the 10 freeway for us to get? Because we need to make sure the community understands what you're doing, because you need the community's support.
Yes.
Instead
Yes.
of the community pecking at you
Yes.
all the time.
Absolutely.
It's important. That's where the voice comes in. That's why I'm
Yes.
tying this back together, right? Is that being part of the Teamsters Union creates a foundation for your voice. In other words, well, we're Teamsters, and we have all these brothers and sisters that do all these other important jobs in the region, and we're all going to work together. And the diversity I talked about earlier in the show, airline pilots to zookeepers, where it comes together is we all come together to help each other when we have a challenge. That's how we become more successful than independent associations, simply because we do have the network, and it's been going on for over 100 years.
That's fantastic. It's great. It's you know what, this Teamsters organization, the committee that was formed, has really opened up some doors with us again, where we're able to communicate with our fellow employees and really have some real honest conversations and finding out what people really are concerned about. And what was amazing is we all have the same issues. They may be in the office or they may be out in the field, but they're almost exactly the same thing.
That's correct.
And so
They may have some slight differences,
Correct.
but you can find your commonalities
to
to address them. Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
And this isn't like an office versus this, or
No.
these field people versus this. When we're Teamsters, we're all in.
Yeah.
Like this isn't. This is exactly. Look, the Teamsters has been my family for more than 30 years, and all of my children have grown up in this organization since they were babies, and they've gone to meetings and functions, just like we have one of the kids sitting here in the room right now. Like my kids actually watched all these things happen my entire career, and I can't be prouder of the fact that I call the Teamsters my home. In other words, yeah, I get a salary. Yes, I get paid well for it. But it goes beyond that. It goes beyond that. When people are in need, we know how to help each other. When there's a challenge, we come together. When there's a disaster, like when December 2nd happened, 2015, and the terrorist attack happened in San Bernardino, do you know that more than 300 locals across the country donated money within a couple weeks to help those victims that were, because they were Teamsters. Some of them were Teamsters in San Bernardino that were attacked during that terrorist attack. Everybody put down their differences and immediately pulled together hundreds of thousands of dollars to help those families out. No questions asked. That is what the Teamster family is all about. Not just what we can do when times are good, but most importantly, what we can do when there's a huge challenge. When there's a hurricane somewhere in the country, when there's some major catastrophe happening, there's a whole bunch of people that are working behind the scenes going, how do we work together to just help? And that's what having that sort of resource and collectiveness does, not just on a national scale or international scale, but on a regional scale in the Coachella Valley. And what we're going to do is do things like you see in the IE, where you see buses, you see Thank a Teamster. After you guys are Teamsters, what we're going to do is take some pictures of you, and you're going to see Thank a Teamster, somebody working on and that benefits your employer too, right? The community recognizes that these are important jobs.
Yes.
Everything's not a fight. Everything's not a battle. Everything's got to be about respect and making sure that we're holding accountable one another. And that means sometimes we got to do it to each other.
Yeah.
Absent the employer.
Absolutely.
Yeah. In a respectful way. Absolutely in a respectful way.
Well, always respectful. I mean, yes.
Yeah.
We've got about 6-7 minutes, right?
Right.
Yep. So what else do you want to talk about? What's been building the camaraderie through an organizing drive and what you're doing and the build up? Number one, seeing you guys pack the last membership meeting. I think that was in March, right?
Yes.
And you had more than 200 people in attendance, and I don't know if it was a unanimous vote, but it was close to being unanimous votes where
absolutely.
You asked the board to do things. You realize you're building worker power already, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. We wore black. That was a suggestion I come up with about wearing a certain color to show our unity. And unfortunately, we didn't have the Teamster shirts, but we all have black clothes. Huh? Yeah.
You got them now, huh?
Yes, we're getting them. We're excited.
Do you know what they say on them?
Yes. Smile, the Teamsters are coming. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm just, you know what, this is a great opportunity. Water is a family thing for me. We've got
So your
kids.
family came from the water industry?
Well, my husband also works for a
water district.
Water district.
Oh, okay.
And my sons have been studying to get their certification to work for the water district. My one son actually was working for him, but was a temp job. But he's looking constantly for another job in the water industry. Plus, when I started at the Coachella Valley Water District 18 years ago, I found, I had 4 cousins there. I found one I knew, and 3 of them I discovered.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
working at the district.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So
that's good. Small world.
Small world, but it's important. Water's a future.
So, Ducky, how did you get into the job? Because it's 18 years, right?
Yes. I used to work for a soda company. A couple of the guys came over, said, hey, come over here, it's better. At the time I got hired, we did not pay insurance. We did not pay insurance at all. So, look, I'm tired of getting raises that match our insurance.
Yeah, money in the pocket in the front comes out the back.
I don't expect miracles to happen. What I want is fairness for everybody. I don't care if you work in the office. I don't care if you work on the ground. Everybody needs to remember we all have the same concerns.
Yes.
Our family, our insurance, and money that we can make to take care of our families.
Hey, look, something that everybody has always heard me say for my entire career is affordable health care. My definition of affordable health care is the employer pays for it. Like, that's affordable. and anytime you're making the employees pay a portion of the premium or some portion of it, as an organization, we're going to squawk. Like, I always tell the employers on the other side of bargaining with me, you don't want to hear me complain about healthcare issues, then just pay 100%. If you pay 100%, then guess what? Randy's going to be quiet on the issue. You make them pay a nickel, I'm going to be squawking about the nickel. And the purpose is, thanks, we got 3 minutes left. The purpose is we need to get back into a time when employers see the value of paying for 100% of your health care and taking care of things like that, simply because this isn't an us versus them. It's a quality of life, and it's also making sure that when I do get a raise, I actually capture my entire raise.
We actually get to see it.
That's correct, versus it being swiped out the back door somewhere else. Now, seeing that we got about 2.5 minutes left, is there anything the two of you want to close on? And I'm going to just go through some of my notes and make sure that I hit some of the subjects.
Go ahead, Ducky.
If there is anybody from the Coachella Valley Water District listening now, look, we need to be a unit. We need to remember that we are all a family. We need to take care of each other and look after each other, even the cousins and nephews we do not like.
Yes, and I think it's important to protect our rights because, like I said, we've got to protect our retiree rights. Some of us are going to be retirees soon, and then we want to protect the rights of the new people coming in. We don't want them to end up at 1% at 67, because I know I've got like my children, my grandchildren who probably will be working in the water industry. Let's face it, water is liquid gold. That's one thing you cannot live without.
Especially when you're magically pulling it out of the ground in the middle of the desert like you guys are. This is amazing work that you do. And the one issue I think I skipped over that I should have spent more time on is a class and comp study that it needs to be handled in a way where you have the resources to manage it and you put the appropriate time and energy into it to make sure that your job is valued at the appropriate level. And there's a lot of work that it takes to do that. Clearly, the Teamsters Union's been around for over 100 years. This is not something that is, it's not difficult. This is not our first rodeo. Like, matter of fact, we go to a lot of rodeos. We got 1 minute left. Go to a lot of rodeos, and we see people get bucked off, and they want to jump back on, or like, let me ride that horse. I got this.
You know what? That's one thing I'm really excited about, because I know that the Teamsters does offer its members education, learning about their rights and their responsibilities. Because it is an honor to actually be able to be a workforce that is represented by a union, and we're dwindling in numbers, unfortunately. But it's going to be a great thing, and I want to bring it back for everybody so that everyone has the opportunities to get what they really deserve.
Buffy, couldn't have said it any better. I'll close by saying this is the Worker Power Hour, KCAA 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. And we really appreciate you guys coming on. We appreciate the work that you do and everybody you work around. We look forward to the partnership beginning next Wednesday, where you officially become Teamsters, and we start on that journey together to tackle these issues. Like you said, there's not a magic wand. It's going to make it all go away. There's going to be a lot of hard work, but I'm telling you, a lot of us who've been part of making that hard work happen, we look forward to that journey, and we appreciate being on that journey with you. With that, this is Randy Corrigan signing off with the Worker Power Hour.
KCAA.
NBC News on KCAA Loma Linda is sponsored by Teamsters Local 1932, protecting the future of working families. Teamsters1932.org.
NBC News Radio, I'm Brian Shook. Around 4 million people are in the path of severe weather today. The Storm Prediction Center says areas of Illinois, Kentucky, Missouri, and Tennessee are under a level 4 or 5 risk for thunderstorms. Meanwhile, another 50 million people from Texas to the Ohio Valley and into the Mid-Atlantic face a level 2 or 3 risk. Former President Trump's New York hush money trial is on break, but there's some legal action in his other cases. Georgia's appeals court says it will hear Trump's request to remove Fani Willis from his election interference case. Meanwhile, his federal classified documents case in Florida has been indefinitely postponed. The U.S. has hit pause on a large shipment of weapons for Israel over concerns about a large-scale military offensive in southern Gaza. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin spoke to lawmakers during a congressional hearing today.
We paused one shipment of high payload munitions. We've also been very clear about the steps that we'd like to see Israel take to account for and take care of those civilians before major combat takes place.
It's believed to be the first time the U.S. has halted an arms shipment to Israel since its war with Hamas started. The man suspected in the killing of a Georgia nursing student has been indicted. Lisa Taylor has more.
Jose Antonio Ibarra faces 10 charges in connection to Laken Riley's death. He